Welcome to part 2 of our Exploring Scotland Land Rover Defender camping adventure. In part 1 we made our way north of Scotland to Loch Ness, where we would spend the night in a woodland lodge, exploring the beautiful Scottish Highlands along the way. Today we'll be collecting our Land Rover before continuing our journey to the Isle of Skye.
Good morning. Did you sleep well, Adam?
Not too bad.
It wasn't too bad at all, was it? So after a comfy night's sleep, we're just going to have a quick bite to eat for breakfast, and then we're heading to pick up our Land Rover for part 2 of our road trip. So yeah, hope you didn't get too used to the comforts of the lodge last night, because from here on in, it'll be wild camping. So yeah, we're just planning our trip at the moment. We're going to head over to Trax at Inverness to pick up the Land Rover, and then we are going to head across country to Isle of Skye. We were debating whether or not to take the ferry or take the bridge, but I think we're going to take the bridge because there are parts of Skye that we want to see closer to that area. And but on the way there, we're going to stop off at I believe it's pronounced Eilean Donan Castle or Eilean Donan Castle, who knows. So yeah, we'll stop off there and take some pictures of the beautiful scenery and absorb some of the culture.
By noon we pulled up at Trax, and after a briefing on how to handle the Land Rover, we started loading up all of our gear into the back.
Well, here we are. We've picked up our Land Rover with a rooftop tent. What do you think, Benji?
Not impressed.
He's just happy he's got somewhere to chill out.
Our route was set to take us over to Skye via the A832, A890 and finally the A87, which would lead us over the bridge to the island. The plan was to make stops along the way to fully absorb the stunning scenery and explore interesting places. Our first stop, just a short 10-minute drive from Trax, brought us to the fascinating Clava Cairns, an incredibly ancient site in Scotland.
So here we are at Clava Cairns, 4,000-year-old Bronze Age burial ground, but also the inspiration for the standing stones in the TV show Outlander. Take a look.
This ancient cemetery, built to house the departed, remained a sacred place in the landscape for centuries, shedding light on the beliefs of the Bronze Age society.
You look like you just disappeared back in time.
Brilliant. Got the landing to myself then.
After spending around 30 to 45 minutes exploring, taking photos and soaking up the atmosphere, we hopped back into the Land Rover, ready to continue our journey. Our next destination was the picturesque Eilean Donan Castle, perched at the convergence of 3 lochs, Lochs Duick, Long and Lochalsh. It proudly holds the title as one of the most photographed castles in Scotland. But en route we made a pit stop at Loch Clunie to soak in the breathtaking views and snap some photos.
Welcome to Eilean Donan Castle, possibly one of the most photographed castles in Scotland. You'll find it on everything from shortbread tins to tea towels. And see how spectacular is that?
Its popularity as a visitor attraction is well deserved, and its visual impact is immediately evident. Situated strategically on its own small island, overseeing the Isle of Skye, at the junction of three stunning sea lochs, and embraced by the grandeur of Kintail's forested mountains, Eilean Donan's setting is nothing short of awe-inspiring. The original was erected in the 13th century by Alexander II to safeguard the area from Viking raids. It would have looked quite different from the structure we see today. Over the centuries, the castle underwent various expansions and contractions. In 1719, during the Jacobite uprising, the British government discovered that the castle was occupied by Jacobite leaders and Spanish soldiers. After bombarding the castle with cannons from 3 heavily armed warships, the fortress eventually succumbed to force. Despite its walls being up to 5 meters thick, the cannons didn't leave a significant mark, but upon discovering 343 barrels of gunpowder inside, the commanding officer ordered the castle's destruction. Following this event, Eilean Donan Castle remained in silent ruin for nearly 2 centuries. You can purchase a ticket to go inside the castle, but as we had the Labrador with us, we just enjoyed the castle from afar.
Sing me a song of the last that is gone, say could at last be I. Mary of soul, she sailed on a day over the sea to Skye.
The weather was definitely on our side that day. The sun was shining and the air was warm. There was a gentle breeze in the air, just enough to keep those pesky midges at bay. After crossing over the Skye Bridge, we made a quick stop to savour the views of the bridge stretching across Lochalsh.
Where is that glory now? Sing me a song of a last that is gone. Say, could that last be I? Mary of soul, she sailed on a day over the sea to Skye.
Well, here we are finally at the beautiful Isle of Skye. We crossed over the bridge and we weren't going to take the bridge back at the end of our road trip in a few days' time, but we've been told that there is a small 6-car ferry we can take back which has spectacular views, so we may just do that upon our return. Anyway, so last stop was Eilean Donan Castle, which was absolutely spectacular. A member of staff there had recommended we go back and get some exquisite photography during the sunset with the loch and the hills in the background, but unfortunately we won't be in that. We won't be over that way come sunset, but perhaps we'll stop back off again upon our return. Who knows?
Then we set our sights on Blackhill Waterfall. The waterfall is undoubtedly one of the most frequently admired waterfalls on the Isle of Skye. It meanders its way through the Red Coolin Hills, nested between Portree and Skye Bridge. You'll find it gracefully curving on the outer bend of the A87 road. Afterwards, we made our way to Sligachan with the intention of grabbing a meal at Shearmer's Bar in Sligachan Hotel. When we arrived around 7:20 PM, a gracious lady greeted us and regretfully informed us that there were no available tables for the remainder of the evening. So, before leaving, we took a stroll to Sligachan Old Bridge to soak in the captivating vistas of the Coolin Mountains.
So behind me is Sligachan Bridge. Now this old bridge was built in the 1800s, and the legend has it that if you dunk your face in the water for 7 seconds, you'll be blessed with eternal youth. Let's go and see if that works here.
From here, we made a spontaneous decision to locate a spot for wild camping before the onset of darkness. We drove approximately 20 minutes towards the fairy pools, as this would be our first destination for the following day. We managed to find a spot to park just off the single track road. The rooftop tent was super easy to put up, and we whipped up a chicken curry and rice dinner and enjoyed it with a refreshing beer, all while taking in the dominating presence of the mountains as the daylight waned.
It's a bit blowy, but we're doing our best. This looks tasty.
Hopefully, all handmade.
It's all handmade? Oh, I see you've got the essentials there.
Little colour B now, I'm going to get blown away.
It would be stunning if it wasn't so windy. I mean, it's still stunning. It could just do with being a little less windy. We haven't even put the awning out because we think it might just blow away. Benji hasn't blown away yet.
Sadly, this pleasant experience was short-lived as the wind grew stronger with the fallen darkness, compelling us to rapidly stow away our belongings before they were swept away. To add to the mix, a few other fellow campers were also scouting for camping spots and ended up setting up their camper vans right next to us. Huddled within the rooftop tent as the winds escalated to nearly gale force, followed by a deluge of torrential rain, we decided it was time to call it a night. And that brings us to the end of part 2 of our Exploring Scotland in a Land Rover Defender road trip. Coming up in part 3, we'll be swimming in the fairy pools and battling the great Scottish weather. Thank you so much for watching part 2, and if you haven't already, please remember to like and subscribe, and we'll see you all in part 3.